Okay, so good morning. We're on lesson 33 of Workbook of A Course in Miracles, and I think I'm not going to shave until all the lessons are completed, or until I can find the razor blade, whichever comes first. So today's lesson, it's pretty simple. There's not much to it. You just do it 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, and all day long, as often as possible. We should probably get my friend Nick Van Velder in here to teach us how to do this, because in a sense it's not much different than chanting at this point in time, where you're asked to say the name of the Lord over and over again, 10,000 or 20,000 times a day. Today's idea is an attempt to recognize you can shift your perception of the world in both its outer and inner aspects. And I think many of you are beginning to understand that little shift that takes place within your mind. And I once again notice it's not telling you or asking you to define the other way of looking at the world based on the way you have been looking at the world. It's not asking for a conceptual opposite to the opposition that you actually experience in the world. It's asking to allow a real shift in your mind to occur, one that opens your mind and allows your mind to join with your own wholeness, your own spirit, your own guide to that other world. And this is something we all can do. And at times, there's indications in text of A Course in Miracles that even untrained minds, people who have yet to even pick up A Course in Miracles and read it, experience light at some point in time in their mind, simply because there is a point that you get to in your own historic timeline that causes you to have a shift, simply because there was no place left for you to go in your mind any longer with the way you were thinking about a particular thing. And one of the things that I've come to sort of understand about part of the reason A Course in Miracles was given entry into this world is because experiences such as these are becoming more and more readily available to people as time gets later and later, as we begin to approach the dawn of a great awakening. So, what happens is people need to begin to train their mind, have an explanation for how that occurred, rather than thinking that it was caused by anything external. The situation they were in, perhaps. Now, the situation we're in and the people we're with can foster conditions that make it more conducive to us to readily shift our mind. And who knows what an individual takes. Some, it could be the horrors of being in a war. Others, it could be the moonlight on a lake in a canoe. Who really knows what it takes, because this is an individual journey. It's your individual journey. And based on the nature of our desire to be special, no two journeys are exactly the same, and yet we all share a single mind, and that mind works by the laws of its creator, by the laws of God, not by any laws of the world, not by any laws we attempt to impose on it, but it has an order of working. It has a natural way of working. Remember, your mind is the mind of God. We share one mind. We share a single beingness. We share the Spirit of God, all of us. We've all been created in the image and likeness of our Creator. So our minds are under no laws but the laws of God. And when, in particular instances, naturally we free our mind from the necessity of being lawful unto the laws of man, there's the natural tendency and ability to slip back into an experience of a true state, because that true state is within all of us, covered over perhaps, and some more densely than others, and some a little bit more loosely. We can't really say, can't judge it, but they're all equally lawful unto the law of God. And what we're being introduced to in these lessons is the way our minds work naturally based on the laws of God. And the tension and the pain and the suffering that we experience here is because we're attempting to impose another law on the natural law of our own minds and heart. And quite frankly, it can't be sustained, because we're sustained by the love of God, not by the laws of man, and certainly not by anything in our external reality that we've already admitted to inventing. So there is another way of looking at this world. And A Course in Miracles presents us with the psyche. With the psyche, and at a certain point Jesus says, in our psyche of the human mind. And if you follow along his diagram and his presentation of the psyche of the human mind, and when you see it, if I could show you a diagram of it, you could see quite naturally, quite readily, why things occur the way they do, and how simple it would be to allow your mind to be shifted when you desire that shift. And then you can, let's call it, impose for a second, or enact. Because nothing happens but by your decision. Then you can impose by enacting the laws of God within your mind and attuning it with the conditions necessary for your mind to shift naturally to, let's call it, right-mindedness for a second. And in our right mind contains the ability to contact our shared whole identity, which we have given the name of Holy Spirit. Again, if we go back to the original lexicon, it would be the ability to see with your spiritual eye. If thine eye be single, which is what Jesus is talking about when he makes that reference. Let the light in thy eye be single. The ego originally was referred to as the eyes of the body. The Holy Spirit was originally referred to as your spiritual sight, your spiritual eye. It didn't go away. We just willingly, by decision, shut it to the light. We must willfully, by another decision, decide to open it to the light. Yet there are certain points in time when, because of the nature of the conditions that are fostering the experience we're having within our own mind and heart, that radical seeming shift occurs in and of itself. So there's nothing here unnatural happening, and the truth is there's nothing here that hasn't happened to you before. You may not remember it, or it may have been an anomaly, and many of you may have established whole worlds or attempted to establish worlds and relationships, and you get the inspiration for your business from that moment, and then you attempt to establish it, to hang on to it in the world of space and time, and it falls apart because it's got nothing to do with the world of space and time. It's got everything to do with who you are as you've been created by the eternal loving Creator, Father, that we all share the mind of. And so, this is being made readily available to you. And it's very lawful. It's lawful. It's just unlike the way you've been seeing most of the time in the past, and therefore can give you a shift that may alter the future you will experience. You don't have to experience a future like the past just because you base your thinking on the past in an attempt to control your life from future dread. You don't have to do that any longer. That is the great preoccupation of the ego, and you're being offered a way to see a new life that is already in you, so as to live a new life each and every moment. I mean, when we shift, when we allow ourselves to be shifted, when we impose the conditions necessary for the shift and it occurs, we experience a newness, because there's no such thing as old in the totality of reality that is your true self. There's no such thing as old, so each moment can be brand new. We don't have to bring the past with us. We don't have to impose it upon anyone. We don't have to impose it upon ourselves. We can come freely into each moment with the newness that the Spirit brings to us, and see once again the joy that was within us, and the joy that is also within our brothers in all the world. That's what we're being offered. So here we are, lesson 33, and to some of you 33 is going to have particular significance, the number itself. There is a new way of looking at the world. So take 5 minutes this morning and just look at your inner and outer world unhurriedly. And then throughout the course of the day, just allow that shift to be made. You'll begin to see, you'll begin to know and feel where that is in your own heart and mind. And the more you welcome it, the more you'll experience it. And the more you experience it, the more you'll come to love yourself and your brother. Love your brothers and your neighbors as yourself, because yourself is a self of love. There's a line early on in Jesus' communication to Helen that says, man must learn to think of himself as both loving and lovable, for the simple reason that you were created by love to be love. You are loved, and you can extend that love. You are loving, and you must learn to think of yourself that way, because that is your true nature. Now, it may go against the feelings that you're experiencing. It may go against the thoughts that you've been using against yourself to prove yourself unworthy of love. It may go against the thoughts that you experienced that made you think you were loving because you were obeying the laws of the world. None of those things are true. You were created by love to be the extension of that love, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're condemned to be eternal love, light, wholeness, and perfection. And there's no place that you have to die to get out of to be that. That's the good news. Because death is actually the denial of the fact that you are whole, perfect, and eternal. So let this be a day of practicing this lesson. Go forth and say there's another way of looking at the world. Now the interesting is, perhaps you'll be much more ready to make that statement in the face of things that are dangerous, things that seem fearful, things that seem to be causing you consternation. And yet, the happiness that we seem to experience in the world too, we seem to blame on the world. We allow the world to be the cause of our happiness, and it may be you may be less willing to apply that lesson. There's another way of looking at the world when you're experiencing what you think is happiness based on the relief of sadness. That's not what joy really is, and that's not what happiness really is. The love and the joy of your eternal being is the source of the happiness that you experience. And when you experience this shift, it is the elimination of the worldly cause and the recognition that we share a single cause, and you are that cause. There is no cause for happiness in the world. There's no cause for unhappiness in the world, because the world, not being real, doesn't have the ability to cause anything. That doesn't mean we haven't mistaken the effect for cause, because we all have, or else we wouldn't be experiencing the world as we are in the condition we think we're in as bodily identities in space-time. It doesn't mean it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't mean it doesn't seem like that. It doesn't mean like the rest of the people in the universe and the world don't think like that. It only means that if you don't want to lose the things that you love, and I assure you you can't, because you are love and so are they, there is another way at looking at this world.